Welcome to the Stock Boy Gaming channel. I am the Stock Boy, and we're looking at more manufacturers in GTA today. It's Grotti versus Pegassi, Ferrari versus Lamborghini, essentially, kinda. We'll get into that a little bit later, but these are the best cars that each of these in-game manufacturers have to offer. We're gonna test them and see which manufacturer comes out on top. Now, I know the Itali GTO and RSX are in the sports class. This video is also going to highlight how the classes in GTA are seriously messed up. But first off, we're starting with the Grottis. They're going to face each other. Then we're going to go to the Pegassis. And the winner of each round in each test is going to face each other. Yeah, something like that. That's how it works. Going to that 8th mile line, the Itali GTO is barely ahead. Just by, I think it's 100th of a second. And then the RSX actually crawls back and beats it to the quarter-mile line. So the performance between those two as far as acceleration goes are very, very similar, which is neat to see. Now though, we're going to go with the Ignus, one of the newer cars in GTA on the left, against the Zorrusso, which has been around for a while. It's actually based off of an Itali designed Zorrusso. It's not quite as fast as the Ignus to the 8th mile, but that Itali designed car is actually a Lamborghini Huracan that's just modified by the company, so it's essentially a Lamborghini. That's what I was talking about, where it kind of, sort of makes sense as Lamborghini versus Ferrari. So we did see, though, it's not as fast as this Ignus in a straight line. So now we got Itali RSX versus Ignus. Going to that 8th mile line first. This is a quarter-mile drag race, but we like to see how they do. RSX is going to beat it to the 8th mile, but can that Ignus crawl back like the RSX did in the first race? No. The RSX is extremely fast, and it's a really fun car. So you see, after our first test here with drag times, both of the Grottis actually outperformed the supercars from Pegassi. But I don't make videos that are boring. There's a reason why I do this. You're going to want to stay tuned as we go through some of these other tests. Going to my Speedway, we're checking average speed around a massive custom banked Speedway. This is where hopefully these supercars will show up a little bit, you know, supercar equals speed typically. I don't know. We're going to see how that works out against these Grottis though. These two sports cars are so fast. They really like the bumps and hills on my Speedway, and you can see here the Itali RSX way faster than these other cars when it comes to average speed at this track. I will say that's a little bit skewed because it loves those bumps, but we still have both Grottis on top. This though is where the Pegassis have to come back, right? We're going to check out the Grottis first, and if you've seen my other videos, maybe you're thinking, well, I've already seen you race these cars against each other. You'll notice these cars are painted different. They're painted almost exactly like real-life versions of the Superfast and the 488 Pista, but the Itali GTO is going to beat it to the first gantry, and these are brand new laps. So I actually have record times for all these cars. If you've seen me race them before, there's a reason why I retest. The Itali GTO is going to beat it to that second gantry again, and both of these cars are really good. The Itali RSX is just a little bit too tight in the corners. It doesn't necessarily understeer, but it doesn't rotate near as much as the GTO. And you see after that long sweeping corner, the GTO pulls ahead even more now. So RSX, this last section is pretty tight. It's going to struggle a little bit, but we know it has better acceleration. So once we get through this final corner, now it has a little bit of an advantage as far as power goes. So will it be able to catch that GTO? No, the GTO is really fast. It's still really fast. But one of these two cars is really fast too. And we're going to see which one it is as we head into my test track for the second time. The Ignus on the bottom I have painted in that gold-green color like they have on the Lamborghini Sean. I absolutely love the color. If you want to recreate it, it's really easy in the game. It's just olive green with gold pearlescent. It dominates that first sector of the track. The Zorrusso is kind of just trying to hold on, and it has the same problem as the Itali RSX. It may be kind of quick as far as top speed goes. It's a little bit better on my test track than the Ignus was, but it's a little tight in the corners, and it still handles well. It does okay. It just doesn't rotate near as much as the Ignus, and you saw that in that corner there. The Ignus took it much tighter than the Zorrusso did, and you'll see that here too. The Zorrusso just kind of fumbles its way through that chicane and onto this final banked corner, whereas the Ignus is just at the bottom of the track, absolutely eating the corner alive, and I love the Ignus for that reason. As we head down to the start-finish line, that Ignus has a sizable gap on the Zorrusso. So, testing out the fastest of the Pegassi versus Grotti cars on my test track. We're going to see which one of these two comes out on top, and this is a monster of a race. Heading down to that first gantry. Who's going to get there first? It's the GTO, but now as we come through these other sections, this one especially with these two banked right-handers, it favors cars that are a little more loose through the corners. And we can see there, the Ignus actually jumps ahead. So now the GTO, it's got a mammoth task ahead of it. Is it going to be able to catch this Ignus? Can a supercar finally win a test, for crying out loud? We're going to see. It does extend the gap, meaning the Ignus extending the gap there over this 812 Superfast. Pretty cool. And as we go along this final corner, the GTO does really well here, but the Ignus does hold tighter to the bottom, and that's an advantage. So we start to see that handling advantage with this Ignus, but the GTO is much faster in a straight line. Can it catch up? No. The Ignus beats the GTO by a couple car lengths, and look at how close these times are. I mean, really, not bad at all. Every car in 55-second range except for the Zorrusso. That is a seriously fast car in this game. So all of them are great, but on my test track, the Ignus is the fastest. What does that mean for the speed score? Well, the Itali RSX is a little skewed because of that top speed, but the Grottis both come out on top. Sports cars over the supercars. I mean, the Ignus is really good, but when you look at all of these, there are just so many good cars. With that being said, if I had to pick one, I would probably pick the Ignus. It's a great car. It handles extremely well, and it's a ton of fun to drive. It looks really good. If you want a sports car, the Itali GTO is the way to go. But all these cars are a lot of fun. It's just that the Zorrusso and the Itali RSX you see here, just a little bit harder to corner, especially when you're in a technical track like this. If you're not familiar with my speed score, I will put a card on the screen again so you can get familiar with it. It's a great way to test overall performance. That's what this channel is all about. We want to see which car is the best overall performer. I'd say without a doubt, it's actually the Itali GTO, because you're not going to get all those bumps and hills on a speedway typically, but that RSX really is pretty much the only exception to the speed score, even though now it's been in multiple videos of mine. That is pretty much the only exception. I really hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I'd love to see more of you on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments too. Like, subscribe, all that stuff the cool kids say that I'm not good at. Thanks again, and I hope to see you next time.